not only introduced the forged and notarized sinumpang salaysay, but also actively participated in its falsification. Yung sinabi ko po kanina. Did the judge abuse her discretion?
Well, according to the court administrator, it is their view that no, because there is a presumption of regularity. And if I may, well, I was listening to the good senator, sabi kasi absent the facts, absent the evidence to the contrary, no, or information to the contrary. Mukhang ang, based on your explanation now and your narration, mukhang may absent nga dun sa information na which led to that ruling. That is my personal opinion as a lawyer, but according to the court administrator, because there is a presumption of regularity, then there was no abuse of discretion.
Saan po ibinasi yung presumption of regularity, Mr. President? All persons who made use of said documents do not only introduce the forged and unauthorized sinumpang salaysay, but also actively participated in its falsification. Tinawag ba niya ako doon o yung mga tao nag-present ng document na yun? Wala po. Ang totoo po niyan, this representation requested a copy of a resolution. Hindi po niya ako binigyan. Ang sinabi po niya, you are not party to the case. Who is party to the case, Mr. President? Ang sabi mo po niya, she gave a copy to the Blue Ribbon Committee. So this representation, nagpakuha po, nag-request sa Blue Ribbon Committee. Sabi ng Blue Ribbon Committee, we have no copy of that resolution. So sino po binigyan niya? Regular po ba yan? Where is the presumption of regularity here? Sabi niya, hindi ako party. Hindi ko naman sinabing party po ako, but party po ako ng Blue Ribbon Committee. And I am a Senator of the Republic. Hindi man lang ako bigyan ng resolution. What is so secret? What is so spectacular about this resolution? Bakit po? Why did she lie na binigyan niya ang Blue Ribbon Committee only to know that she did that? And then we presume that there is regularity in her action. Why? Mr. President.
Well, according to the court administrator, the executive judge, they would assume knows her responsibilities, is aware of her role, her responsibility, and the authority given to her as custodian of the said documents. And that's where the presumption of regularity of her actions kick in, Mr. President.
Mr. President, the presumption is disputable, isn't it?
Definitely, it's just a presumption.
We are disputing the presumption, Mr. President. Napakarami ko pong sinabi. We were only asking for samples within which to compare the signature in Gutesa's document. Siya pa ang mag-select until we were given now the right to examine all this. We requested for a resolution, a copy of a resolution. Ayaw po niya akong bigyan because I am not a party to it. Who is the party? I checked with the intermediary of Gutesa. Ang sabi ka sa kanyang resolution, meron daw po sabina kay Gutesa. The family said there was no notice, there was no subpoena that reached our resident. Ito po ang nangyayari. May problema po ba tayo, Mr. President? Dapat po siguro tinutulungan natin ang mga taong nagkukusa para tumulong, para hanapin ang katotohanan. Kahit na malagay sa alanganin, sa panganib ang kanyang buhay. Pero anong nakuha niya? Sino po ngayon ang magnanais pa na lumabas kahit niya nalalaman siya na tumulong para matuntun natin kung sino may kasalanan. Walang iniwan sa isang tao na pumunta sa barangay, Mr. President. Nagsumbong. Yung pong tao yun, Mr. Barangay Captain, magnanakaw po yun ang kalabaw. Alam po ninyo kung sino yung diniscredit, kung sino yung inusig. Yung nagsumbong na may magnanakaw ng kalabaw. Yung magnanakaw ng kalabaw, hindi man lang.
Mr. President, I share the frustration of Senator Marcoleta. I remember the case of the ZTE-NBN, wherein the whistleblower ended up being the one convicted. Yes, this is most unfortunate when instances wherein those who are who wish to testify or witnesses are suffer such a unfortunate situation.
Mr. President, the Supreme Court time and again has admonished notaries who fully entrusted the notarization process to their office secretaries, like what happened here, and has even deemed it as gross negligence on their part, as in the case of Castelo versus Chin, AC number 11165, February 6, 2017. Ang sabi po ng Korte Suprema ay ganito: gross negligence on the part of a notary public encompasses the failure to observe any of the requirements of a notarial act under the 2004 rules of notarial service, notarial practice, which would result in putting the rights of a person to his liberty or property in jeopardy. This includes, among others, failing to require the presence of the signatories to a notarial instrument and ascertaining their identities through competent evidence thereof, and allowing knowingly or unknowingly people other than notary public himself to sign notarial documents, affix the notarial seal therein, and make entries in the notarial register. This is what exactly happened. This notary public allowed their signature to be signed by others. To use a notarial seal by others and make entries in the notarial register. Hindi siya mismo. Isipin po niyo yung lugar niya, pinakunan namin ng litrato. Ano po yung nakapaskil doon sa isang maliit na opisina na yun? Tabi ng kalsada. Dikit-dikit ang mga notarial offices. Alam po ba niyo yung nakalagay na sign? Affidavit, notarial affidavit, 24/7. So, hindi na natutulog yung abogada ron kung siya nga yung nandun. Ilan na po mga notaryo publiko ang na-admonish o kaya nasuspindi o kaya nasira, inalis sa notarial practice, Mr. President. Kasi po ang kanilang mga sekretarya na lang o mga staff ang talagang, yun naman po nangyayari, kalakaran na po yun eh. I think even the Supreme Court can take judicial notice of this particular industry.
Our apologies, good Senator. I was just clarifying matter regarding whether or not Attorney Espera did delegate. Of course, that is a accusation or a allegation, rather. And if proved to be true, then definitely Espera should be held to account for that. And therefore, perhaps one's route should be to ask to have Attorney Espera, the notarial, the notary public, to explain whether or not she in fact did that.
Of course po, Mr. President, yung ninotaryohan na kontrata ng PESA, ganun din po yung pirma. Si Attorney Sino yung Comelec? Rami Magalintal. Nung makita niya po yung dokumento ni Gutesa na yung pirma gano'n, kapareho din ito rin yung mga ipinresent nila rito, yung intervenor sa isang barangay. Ang dami po nito. Kapareho din po yun eh. Kaya po, tinatanong ko, ilan na po yung nasuspindi kaya? Ilan na yung na-reprimand? Ilan na yung kinastigo ng Korte Suprema? Baka naman po, mangilan-ngilan lang, kaya po siguro naging cottage industry na po ito eh. Gaano po tayo kaingat yung pagbabantay sa ganitong mga ginagawa ng ating mga abogadong nagnonotaryo po, Mr. President?
According to the court administrator, marami na raw na suspend, no? Na notary public dahil dito sa ganitong mga hindi tamang mga kilos at very serious ang Korte Suprema sa ganitong mga usapin when it comes to notarial commissions and such acts, such malpractices.
Gano'n na po kaya karami, Mr. President? Kasi po kung ibabatay natin sa mga notary publics na nagkalat na po, parang mga kabuti na nagsulputan sa napakaraming mga lugar, lalong-lalo na po sa mga mataong lugar. Ganyan lang po sa City Hall po, wag na tayong lumayo, makikita po ninyo yung dikit-dikit na nagnunotaryo na wala po kayong makikitang abogado ron. Yung iba po, itatakbo pa nga sa isang skirita, pagkatapos hintayin mo ko riyan, pagkatapos mo magbayad ng kaulang halaga, tsaka niya ibabalik sa iyo. Gano'n po karami?
Wala daw po ngayon, right now, ang numero. They will be submitting.
So, Mr. President, ina-assume po natin yung dami po ng nagnunotaryo ngayon na dikit-dikit sa paligid ng mga city halls ng ating bansa. Lahat po ba yun ang pumipirma yung mga abogado?
Under the law and the commission, dapat.
Dapat po.
Yes.
Pero sa nangyayari, sa totoong buhay, sila po ba yung nandoon na nagnonotaryo, Mr. President?
Well, dapat din under the law, pero yung realidad,
Hindi po, hindi ba?
maaaring ang merong dinedelegate.
Yun nga po eh. Si Gutesa ay biktima po rito. Siya po yung nabiktima rito. Pero siya ngayon ang kakasuhan ng falsification, ng perjury. Ang tanging kasalanan niya ay lumabas lamang at nagpasya para tulungan ang Estado hanapin kung sino ang utak na makawalang hiya ang nangyari sa ating bansa. Mr. President, mag-iba naman po tayo ng area. Medyo na-high blood po si Congressman Sherwin. Kapag kaibigan ko po kasi ang pagkaya na hindi kumikibo, ako po medyo kinakabahan. Senator pala, sensya ka na. Ako na high blood hata. Makailan po ay nagpalabas po at nag-approve ang ating Korte Suprema, Mr. President, ng Rules on Extradition Proceedings, which I think took effect on November 10, 2025. Tama po ba yun, Mr. President?
That is correct, Senator Mercola.
May I know, Mr. President, that, or do these rules apply only when there is an existing extradition treaty between the Philippines and the requesting state?
That the court administrator says yes, answers in the affirmative.
In the absence of an extradition treaty, Mr. President,